Syndication is described by the website Webopedia as, quote, the sharing of content among different websites. The term is normally associated with licensed content such as television programs and newspaper columns, end quote. Syndication is also used by bloggers and video loggers and other people who want to share content and their opinions on the internet. So what this means for those of us who use Angel is that there is a syndication tool in Angel. It means so that we can create content and then push it out to or make it available to the consumers of that content. How it works is I have a syndicating feed where I post content periodically, and then people have what are called aggregators that will go and constantly search to see if there's anything new on my feed. And then usually people will download syndicated content to their computer and play it on the computer, or they may have it transferred directly to a portable device. So the people, all these people that you see walking around with earbuds in their ears may not necessarily be listening to music. They might be listening to a podcast or even looking at a video cast on the screen of their iPod or whichever device they have. So what it looks like is in Angel I have a content item that I've created that is a podcast. So I've gone into add content and I've created a course syndication folder. So what that looks like is it's a folder and I can add content to it and then people can get that content. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to describe or show you the process of how I would create content. In this example, I'm going to create an MP3 audio file. You could syndicate other types of content too, such as PDF documents. But for this example, I'm going to use a free open source audio recording program and editing program called Audacity, which I really like. And the first thing I'm going to do is create a new MP3 file. So what I'm saying is now being recorded by Audacity, and I could also add in, I could mix in other sounds or bring the volume up or down, or use sound effects such as fading in, fading out, mixing or cutting out, whatever I need to do to create this audio file. And then I'll hit stop and export. Okay, so I've now created the MP3 file, and in my syndication folder in my course here, I'm going to add content, and I'll add a file, and it's gonna give me some information here about types of files that I can add up, but I'll upload this file. Okay, there it is. There's the file. And I'll open that and I'll give it a title. And I'll upload it. Okay, so now the file is in Angel, which is great, but how does the student get to it? So the student would come to this folder here, and like I said, they need to have an aggregator, and probably the most popular one out there now is iTunes. So I'm going to use iTunes. So the student would click on Add to iTunes, and if I have iTunes installed on my computer, see it's gone and it's got the Scottcast podcast out of Angel and added it to my list of podcasts that I have in the software here, and it's now downloading this example for 145 MP3 file. Now what I would do is attach my iPod or iRiver or whatever device I use to the computer that has iTunes installed on it, and then I would drag these podcasts down to that device. Or like I said, I could just listen to them here on my computer. But that's how the student would get the podcast using iTunes. If they used a different program, they might need what's called the RSS feed, and that stands for really simple syndication. And it's basically just a text string which lets the whatever your program is um, get back to that. Okay, so like I said, I would have to subscribe to the feed, and here I'll click on this, and it's going to ask me if I want to subscribe to it, and that's going to add it to the Internet Explorer podcast list. So I'll subscribe to that, and I can view the feed properties. Now I can see the actual text link that goes back to where that feed exists. So if I wanted to, I could copy that and use it with a different program. Just to be lazy, I'll just use iTunes again here. Let's say I didn't have this podcast set up in here, and I needed to add it. So I'm going to go to Advanced Settings here and Subscribe to Podcast, and I'll put in that URL, that text string that I had copied out of the properties of the podcast there, and hit OK. See, so now it's gone across the internet to Angel and gotten that podcast and added it to iTunes again. And instead of doing it automatically this time, I did it with that text string, but it's going to be downloading the same content. The student can also, if they want to, just come into Angel and view the file right here. They're not forced to use this syndication aggregation model. They can just log into Angel and go to the folder and click on the files there as well. That is syndication.